In this video, we'll check out the most interesting mods for Farm Sim 25 across all platforms, consoles and PC. This lineup has something for everyone, from realistic modifications to some truly wild ones. There are mods for small farms, massive operations, and even some unconventional solutions. Without further ado, let's get started. First up, we have a wheel loader that can do it all. It comes in two models, the 420 with 20 horsepower and the 750 with 49 horsepower. Aside from standard functions like moving pallets, you can also attach a 3-point hitch, allowing you to, for example, hook up a mower and cut grass with ease. Interestingly, you can even hire a worker for this task, and surprisingly, it works without major issues. A pleasant surprise. Unfortunately, there's no dedicated trailer hitch, but you can attach a special tool to the arm instead. It's not the most convenient solution since you have to drive in reverse, but for moving a trailer around the farm, it should work just fine. The next mod is for those who prefer classic tools, the scythe. I've shown it before in Farm Sim 22, but now it has made its way into Farm Sim 25. The problem? Something went wrong in this version because no matter what I press, the character starts running like crazy. Anyone who has ever used a scythe knows that this speed is completely unrealistic and goes against all safety regulations. Despite that, the mod is quite interesting and will definitely appeal to players running small farms. Since we covered a mod for small farms, we can't forget about something for large-scale operations or even massive farms. This time we have a legendary seeder that has been with us since Farm Sim 17 when it was introduced in the Big Bud DLC. Ever since then, it has been converted for every new version of the game and consistently appears on ModHub for free, and this time is no different. Personally, I think it's great that it's still available because its design and functionality are top-notch. Plus, it allows for no-till seeding, which is an amazing ability for such a massive machine. If you hate windrowing grass, this next mod is for you. I've shown a similar one in Farm Sim 22, but this version has one big improvement and two major downsides. The good news is that bales are automatically unloaded from the small trailer, whereas before, this had to be done manually, often leading to all sorts of strange situations. Unfortunately, there are downsides as well. The first issue is that bales are placed side by side instead of stacked, making loading them later more difficult rather than easier. But the biggest problem? You can't hire a worker. That's expected for a baler, but in the previous mod it was possible, so it's disappointing that this feature is missing here. You can enable GPS guidance, which helps a bit, but it's still a shame the creator didn't include it. A completely different kind of mod, but equally useful, introduces a new way to collect stones. In the base game, this is one of the least enjoyable tasks. It's long, tedious, and there's only one machine available for the job. This mod fixes the problem by providing a machine that is more than twice the size of the default one and works 2 kilometers per hour faster. A true revolution? Not really, since the mod creator likely just copied the stone collector and pasted it again, making the machine twice as big. But still, you have to appreciate the creativity. If you're a fan of minimalism, you'll definitely like this next mod, which allows you to feed animals in a completely new way. Instead of using a traditional trailer, you can use a bucket. Yes, you heard that right. A 100-liter bucket costing just 50, which can hold almost anything that you'd normally be able to dump onto the ground. You just have to make sure to pour the feed into the correct trough. But if you enjoy a more realistic and slow-paced playstyle, I think this could be a fun alternative. And paired with the scythe mod, it makes for a perfect combo. This next mod might not appeal to players who prioritize realism because personally, I've never seen a harvester with a baler attached to it in real life. However, with this mod, you can not only attach a baler to your combine, but any machine you want, since it adds a 3-point hitch. Unfortunately, not everything works perfectly. For example, workers struggle with using the baler. You can hire a worker and they will even turn on the baler, but they won't lower it. And even if you hire them with the baler already lowered, they'll still lift it back up on their own. However, this setup works perfectly with a forage harvester and a trailer. Yes, you can already attach a trailer to a forage harvester, but never one this large. Surprisingly, even with the biggest available trailer, the worker functions properly and seems aware of the long setup, carefully navigating turns. So this mod is definitely an interesting one. Let me know in the comments how you would use it. Speaking of mods that aren't very realistic, we can't ignore something that is completely detached from reality but still hugely popular among players: autoload. In this case, we have the classic autoload version, which adds the function to standard trailers. A typical solution for consoles. It's a separate machine in the shop, and you also have to select the option at purchase. Then, after activating it by pressing B, well, magic happens. When talking about popular mods in the farming Simulator series, we can't forget about super strength, which on consoles always has to be added in sneaky ways since it's a script. On PC, you can simply enable it and throw tractors around like toys, but here things are different. If you buy pallets or bales, they are specially modified so you can pick them up. However, for bales created by players, it's a bit more complicated. To lift your own bales, you have to use a specific baler, meaning if you're starting a new save, it's no problem. But if you already own a baler on your farm, you'll have to replace it if you want to toss bales around. When discussing interesting mods, it's hard to overlook a very unique tractor, or rather two models, the Fendt, GTA and Xylon. At first glance, you might think this is some unrealistic modder creation. After all, who has ever seen a tractor without an engine or with a sprayer mounted in such an unusual place? But surprise, this tractor actually exists. Personally, I've never seen one in the field or on the road, but there are plenty of photos online, so I assume they're real. If any of you have seen one in action, let me know in the comments. And if you haven't, you can always drive it in the game. Not quite the same, but still a cool change from standard tractors. If you love trucks, you might be better off with a game dedicated to them, unless you're a fan of both trucks and tractors. In that case, you're in the right place. This next mod will definitely catch your interest because it adds a unique forklift along with a trailer it can be attached to. It's a rather unusual solution, and I've never seen anything like it in Farm Sim before. Though in real life, I've often spotted trucks carrying forklifts in this manner on the road. In-game, the only real issue is that the forks don't align perfectly with the mounting slots because the forklift needs to be folded to attach it to the trailer, but that's just a minor visual detail. What bothers me more is the forklift's design itself. At least for me, loading pallets with it isn't very convenient and requires a lot of effort. Maybe it's just a matter of getting used to it, but overall it feels a bit clunky. If you frequently buy large quantities of pallets, like 6 or 8 at a time, this mod will be a huge time saver when it comes to loading them. Of course, if you're using auto load, then this isn't an issue, but if you load pallets manually, this forklift will make things much easier. It has extended forks, allowing it to lift up to 3 pallets at once. So instead of picking them up one by one, you only need 2 trips to load everything onto a trailer. The forklift looks like a standard in-game model with slightly extended forks, unless the forks were custom made from scratch, which wouldn't be too difficult anyway. Either way, props to the creator for coming up with a useful and creative modification. If you don't like plowing, you can always disable the option in the settings. But if you still want to do it but feel limited by plow widths, then this next mod brings in a true beast. A machine with a 26-meter working width. I'm not even calling it a plow because honestly, I don't know if that's the right classification. And even if it is, I have no idea if something like this could exist in real life. But this video isn't about realistic mods, it's about interesting ones, and a 26-meter plow definitely fits the bill. If you've ever run out of fuel in the middle of a field, you know how annoying it can be. You need an extra tractor and a decent amount of money to buy or rent a fuel tank. Renting one alone costs 1,500, which isn't cheap. But I have the perfect solution, a small fuel tank that can be filled with fuel or any other liquid and costs only 100, and that's not a rental fee, that's the full purchase price. The only downside is that you'll need a tractor with a front loader or some kind of forklift to transport the tank to the field. But if you already have one, this method is incredibly useful. One quirky feature is that to fill the tank, you actually have to enter it, which is pretty unusual. Let me know in the comments which mods you'd like to see in the next showcase, and see you soon.